I like Deadpool. The idea of an unkillable character who's completely uninhibited by anything but his own emotions is fun to read, and even more fun to see play out on screen. So I'm sure you can imagine my disappointment when Deadpool first appeared on screen in X-Men Origins Wolverine, aka the worst X-Men movie of all time. Luckily, Ryan Reynolds shared my hatred for X-Men Origins Wolverine and proceeded to keep pitching the idea of a Deadpool solo movie until Fox finally agreed to let him do it, and thank God they did. The first Deadpool movie was good. Deadpool 2 is better, but not perfect, and it builds upon everything the first presented, while still acting, for the most part, as a fairly disconnected sequel from the first. Meaning, if you didn't see Deadpool when it first came out and never saw it, so Deadpool 2 will be the first Deadpool movie you see, you can watch the sequel without feeling left out. Some of the jokes have less weight, and some of what happens feels less important, but it's not detrimental to your viewing experience, especially if you read the comics. If you read the comics, you're completely fucking fine. You are A-okay. Deadpool 2 is fun. It's really, really fun. And while fun is great, it doesn't make a movie good. Enjoyment and quality are separate. I may outright hate some films, both in my enjoyment and from an objective standpoint. Fuck Den of Thieves. While others are total shit and still fun to watch, despite having the attention span of a newborn puppy. And while Deadpool 2 doesn't find itself victim to either of those, it's very good in some areas, and it's very, very, very fucking bad in others. This is my biggest problem with Deadpool 2. The first one had good CGI, and this one does too for the most part, but randomly and without warning, the next thing you'll see on screen is just this horrible looking CGI. It looks like it's there, like the shading and 3D look of it is definitely good and it looks physical, but it looks so fake. Blood and gore in particular go from looking fine and like an actual corpse to something out of a Mortal Kombat game from 2015, with oversaturated colors that blend together too much. It's just a damn shame, really. At one point the movie introduces a new character, and the character, who I won't name, is essentially entirely CGI. I'm not even sure if mocap was used for it, and just, wow, it didn't fucking look real. It didn't look good. Either the close-ups were no mocap, or they were mocap, but just fucked up. But it gets way worse the moment you see Deadpool and this character in the same shot. It makes you pause, and you're just like, what the fuck is that? Who made this? Why? I was pretty surprised by this, since CGI is such a prevalent thing in modern movies, especially Marvel ones. It's better than Steppenwolf and Justice League, although, to be clear, I'm not trying to trash the movie. I'm just using him as an example, since I believe using examples is better than just blindly stating my opinion. Steppenwolf looked like shit. It's very clear he did. And so did the character in Deadpool 2. The only difference is that while both look like bosses in a speedily made AAA game, Deadpool 2's boss fight character doesn't look like it was copy-pasted onto the screen. Like I said, it looks physical, just with the texture quality of a Halo 3 cutscene. CGI just really sucked basically every other scene with CGI in it. Cable was great though. Deadpool 2's plot is much, much stronger than the first. Its first act is weaker than the other ones, but it's no weaker than the final act of Black Panther. It's out of place for the rest of the movie, but since it acts as the opening, it's less detrimental as a whole rather than ending on a shitty final act to a good movie, like Black Panther. It's unique enough that you don't feel like you're watching a movie you've already seen, but depending on how much you read into stuff, like me for instance, chances are you'll see a bunch of stuff coming well before it shows on screen. Like the first movie, Deadpool 2 supplies a lot of jokes and fourth-wall gags, and unlike your average Marvel movie, not a single one feels like it was put in just for the sake of no joke being in the last 10 minutes. But just as with every Marvel movie, and I guess just a good movie in general, how good it really is comes down to an essential factor. Much of the story is carried through dialogue and jokes, or in the case of Josh Brolin, scowling and grunting while doing things. And it's fantastic. It really helps to make up for the atrocious GameCube level CGI at some parts of the movie. Josh Brolin and Zazie Beetz, who I'm almost certain I'm saying her name wrong, she's Donald Glover's wife in Atlanta, which is a very good show. I recommend you all check that out. I like it a lot. Anyway, the two of them especially are fantastic. They both play Thanos, Cable, and Domino, respectively. I think opening up the movie beyond just Deadpool and relatively minor supporting characters was a good choice, which is only improved upon the original. I hope the next one focuses more on the X-Force side of things as well, instead of just going back to the solo Deadpool style the first one did. I normally don't talk about the soundtrack in a movie, since I consider a good soundtrack the bare minimum for a movie to have, but Deadpool 2 is one of the few that I think it's worth mentioning, because holy shit, it's fucking great. There's one scene at the end in particular that's just, it's fucking nice. Deadpool 2 has an excellent soundtrack. Give that shit a listen. If you liked Deadpool, you're going to like Deadpool 2. it's better than the first. Not because the first sucked, but because it has a larger budget, allowing for even more Deadpool shenanigans than the first allowed. Its CGI can be jarring in some scenes, kind of like the old video games I'm guessing they took some of the models from, like Doom. The cutscene is great, but the game? My god, the game looks like such shit. I give Deadpool a 9, barely. It's a really great comedy and a great superhero movie, and it's got an interesting and fresh plot, but the CGI is absolutely abhorrent at times, and makes me apprehensive to give it this high of a score without seeing it a second time. I don't think you'll be disappointed when seeing Deadpool 2, but it's something to definitely keep in mind. Yeah, so anyway, thank you guys for watching, and if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, comment what you thought of it or the movie, and what stuff you'd like to see me talk about next. Make sure to subscribe to see more content like this in the future, and hit the bell icon to turn on notifications. If you want to see how I've rated and ranked all the movies I've seen this year, check out my IMDb list, link in the description below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. If you'd like to have your art featured in a video, draw me or one of my wondrous characters, such as the majestic Chad the Sad, and tweet it to @TahukanTV on Twitter. Huge thank you to Patreon supporters Anonymous and Matt Porter. I really appreciate it.